Yeah, number two.
Yeah. Delta 142, Hartsfield Tower. You're clear to land number two.
That's right. Right. So
Hello, aviators. Welcome back to the Pro Pilot Playbook podcast, where we bring you the tips, tricks, hacks, and shortcuts that get you into the cockpit of a jet faster and cheaper. Today, we got kind of a fun one. We just, on a whim, threw this together. We couldn't resist this current event, this topic right now going around, and I'm gonna put this up as quickly as possible after we hit the stop button on recording. But we're talking about a little issue Delta had yesterday with a passenger that made a bit of a mess.
yeah, number two.
Yeah. Delta 142, Hartsfield Tower. You're clear to land number two.
That's right. So this is a crazy story, and the point. Another thing to bring up to our viewers is being a airline pilot is a glamorous job, but sometimes, like all jobs, you have to deal with some unglamorous problems. And I've heard lots of stories. I'm friends with lots of airline pilots. You're dealing with lots of people. You hear crazy stories about people being drunk and rude and doing dumb things.
Yeah.
This one, though, is pretty unique.
Yeah, and this was a flight to Barcelona, Spain. This is a 6+ hour flight. And I guess this happened 2 hours into the flight. They weren't even out of the U.S. yet, and they turned around and came back to Atlanta. And
it was a 6-year-old Airbus A350-900. So this is a gigantic airplane.
That's a big plane.
November 570DZ.
Right. Yep. How many crews are trying to change their bid schedule to not end up on that plane?
Yeah, so basically,
I guess they when they came back, the rumors I'm hearing are they got delayed 6 hours while they cleaned the airplane, but they just didn't clean it. I heard maintenance was out there ripping the carpet out of the aisles because this this wasn't a little bitty thing.
This is really bad. Yeah.
Mike, you got the ATC transcript, right?
I do.
Or not
you can go to live
the actual tape. The tape.
Yeah, yep. I'll play that for you now.
Negative. It's just a biohazard issue. We've had a passenger who had diarrhea all the way through the airplane, so they want us to come back to Atlanta.
So that's it's a biohazard issue.
Right.
And they've got to return to the field. So, and you can actually see on here the flight path. It made it all the way up over Virginia, near Richmond, Virginia, then turned around and went back. So they took off at, this is what a nightmare for the passengers. They took off at 8:47 p.m. Then it was scheduled. It was already delayed. It was scheduled to depart at 6:40 p.m. Then they took off at 8:47. Then they returned to Atlanta and landed at 10:39. Well, then they, like you just mentioned, it takes 5 hours to clean the airplane. The crew times out, so they get another crew, and then they actually took off at 2:57 a.m. for the second time.
Yeah, that just must have been crappy for the passengers. I mean, that just stinks.
Would you say that stinks?
Yeah, that just stinks.
Yeah, and he says in that recording, I mean, he's had diarrhea up and down the inside of the airplane. I mean, this is all, we're joking because it is kind of funny, but That's terrible if it's you, man, or you're sitting next to that guy, or if you're the guy that caused this to turn around. I mean, maybe he had some bad food there or something.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was one of those things where the passenger's sitting there like, oh, I gotta go, but the seatbelt sign's still on. He doesn't want to get up. And then, it's, he just waited too long. He or she, whatever, waited too long and
blew it up.
Yeah. But,
So then they had to, I wonder how they, everybody had to walk through that probably to get off the plane.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And they don't like doing that. They don't want to unload everybody and load them back on because that's like a couple hours process, So yeah, this was this is a very serious thing. And hopefully the person that this happened to got some good medicine.
Yeah,
They're doing better.
I mean, I don't know if Samuel L. Jackson would agree with me, but I'd rather have snakes on the plane. I mean, that's it's quite a. I mean, and then the reports are, the flight attendants were trying to deal with this because this was, you're in an aluminum tube, sharing the same air for just a little bit till it cycles, but it doesn't matter. You have debris spread through the airplane, so that it's going to keep on. Doesn't matter how many times the air circulate or recycles. So they put down some kind of vanilla scented disinfectant or deodorizer, but all the passengers' reports are claiming it just made it smell like vanilla diarrhea. It didn't mask anything. So
Ooh, man.
If you didn't like the smell of vanilla, you got a double shot of, misery.
And you wonder, if you do have the money, why people fly private.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's something,
The biohazard thing, I think, to take a little more serious look at this.
Yeah.
But I think the crew made the right decision.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially now how, just the general public's more educated on disease and, with all the COVID stuff we went through,
right.
that if Delta would have continued that flight to an international destination, people would have got sick from that or something, man.
I was just reading an article on that situation with Burning Man, with everybody's and it was a doctor, and he was stating in the article saying his biggest concern, this was on like Friday, is the portalets overflowing, and I'm not an expert on that, but yeah, it's not good, and I have heard there definitely are lavatory issues that happen on these planes. A lot of times it can be, when they're on the ramp for a long period, a lot of people are using a bathroom, it can overflow and things like that. I mean, you do hear of that, but this is crazy.
Yeah, I have been on a flight to Europe, and one of the, this is something good we should talk about, Mike. I think there's a misconception a little bit in the general public about how these lavatories work on jet aircraft, from the standpoint, actually, I think one of the reasons that people are confused about how it works is probably from that movie Joe Dirt. Remember, Joe finds what he thinks is an asteroid or a meteor, and he takes it to the pawn shop to sell it. And the old man is like, no, son. This is what we call a Boeing bomb. See, these airliners, they fly over, and every now and then them toilets get flow, and they just drop one of these things from an airplane. Frozen solid, see? Whatever. And then it goes on. But no, nothing is being dropped from airplanes. It's a tank that gets drained every time they land. And it's the same thing on the business jets Mike and I fly.
Yep.
Some of the smaller jets have, they don't have the external service ports.
Right.
So it's almost like a camper or a boat porta potty type thing. You take this little tray out, and you got to walk through the cabin with this bucket of
the honey pot. Yes, nasty.
Yes, the honey pot.
A lot of them too. I don't know on the Airbus, but a lot of these the water recycle, so which is really gross. So when you're flushing it, it's the water recycling through, because if you have 150 people use the restroom, that's too much water. You can't have a clean tank and a dirty tank. So it just keeps going through, and
that's what I was going to say. I was on a flight to Europe. This was, I don't know. Let's see, my son's 4. It was like 12 years ago. And they made an announcement that the lav in the back is now out of service. Please use the lav in the front or whatever. And I think that airplane was big enough. There was a mid lav too, but yeah, one of the tanks got full, and the flight attendants get a light, and they lock the door. Yeah, that one's full. But you're talking about that honey pot and carrying that thing through the cabin. I don't know. I've had, I always tell the passengers, of course, there's a there is a toilet on the airplane, but that isn't an emergency toilet. That is an emergency toilet only, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you don't want to deal with cleaning it out, man.
Right. But I have had, it doesn't take much. I've had passengers have a bad day on airplanes, nothing like this, but have to use that thing, and on these little business jets, there's no mystery of what's going on in there.
Right.
Everybody gets a hint. Yeah.
It depends on how the airplane is designed and where the outflow valves are at, what you smell.
Sure. Where it's cycling that air, brings in fresh air and blows out so if the outflow valves are up in the cockpit, it doesn't matter if the passenger's all the way in the back of the jet, because all that air is exiting through the cockpit.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, this is a little different video than we normally make, but we wanted to, it's a funny story and it's an interesting story. So we wanted to play that. And maybe we'll follow up, we'll hear about this poor person and what actually occurred.
What kind of, real quick, what kind of airplane was it again?
It's an Airbus A350-900.
That is a big airplane. Do you think the A350 has anti-skid, Mike?
Yeah. Oh man, like children. You're like my kids.
Hopefully they got the priority, on the runs way.
There you go. We could go on and on about this, man.
I think that was the last one I had. I don't know.
Hopefully our next video will be more professional. We've got some great content coming up for you guys. Some good interviews coming up, really special interviews that we're gonna get some great guests on, and we have some good topics coming up. So please, if you thought this video was humorous and helpful,
right,
please like and subscribe the video. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and there's a lot more serious stuff to check out on propilotplaybook.com.
Yep, sounds great.
We'll see you next week, folks.
Okay, bye-bye.